My husband had a really bad headache, so I decided to take my daughters for a walk to the pharmacy to get him some medication. On our way there was a dog who was barking and lunging at us, but we didn't worry about it because he was on a chain. On our way back, the same dog was barking and lunging at us, but this time the chain snapped. I saw a big black mass moving fast towards us in my peripheral, and I just picked up my daughters and ran. My twins are both 5, and that's like 40 pounds each, but adrenaline strength is real. The dog was right behind me, and my daughter on my left was slipping, and I didn't want her to fall and get bitten. We were passing a house with a fence, and I kinda tossed her over the fence into the lawn and kept running with my other daughter. I was screaming for help when someone came over and scared the dog away. I ran to find my other daughter to find she was unhurt, but she was crying and saying I left her, and why couldn't I have thrown her other sister instead? We got home, and my daughter ran to my husband crying, "Mommy threw me over the fence." After telling him what happens, I thought he would understand, but he started saying things like, "What if she got hurt? What if she fell on some glass and cut herself? What if the dog stopped chasing you and jumped over the fence at her?" I was already guilty, and I was like, "Okay, sorry, I get it." But he kept going, so I finally snapped. He wasn't there, so it's easy for him to say what I should have done. I did it to save both of them. My boyfriend of 4 years proposed to me. I was extremely shocked because our relationship has been rocky the past year. As surprising as it is, I still felt overwhelmed with joy and excitement. He seemed thrilled and even had tears in his eyes while asking. I felt so emotional. The person I had loved for 4 years had asked me to marry them. But the thought of the randomness of the proposal couldn't leave my head. I practically slept on separate couches for the past 3 months. It was unsettling and confused me. Fast forward to the day after Valentine's Day, and my fiance breaks down and tells me that he can't marry me. He said it wouldn't be right and he wouldn't be doing it for the right reasons. I was confused and lost, and all I could do was question him about why he proposed and make me so happy. Finally, he confessed to me that my parents offered him $100,000 if he would propose to me. My family is decently well off, and they promised him that after marriage, he would be well taken care of and won't have any struggle. This was something that he said he couldn't turn down, but he felt wrong and sick about living. I focused on my career, and since I am single, I wasn't sure if having a baby would ever happen. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was overjoyed. My brother is married, but has made it very clear that he will be child-free. I got a shirt for my nephew to wear that says, "This is what an awesome big cousin looks like." I wanted him to wear it during our family dinner. My sister was the first one to notice the shirt, and everyone immediately began to assume it was my sister-in-law who was pregnant. I wasn't hurt at them assuming this because she is married. I was hurt because my sister-in-law didn't try to correct them. She just went along with it and began to rub her flat belly while laughing. I tried to explain, but they all didn't hear me and just continued to fawn over my sister-in-law. I got up and went home. I received multiple texts saying I'm an asshole for making this all about me and I'm just bitter. Morning, my sister-in-law must have finally let it slip that she is not pregnant. They have all now called me to apologize, saying that they all just got caught up in the moment. My sister-in-law sent me a message that said the way I chose to announce was how she wanted to do it if she ever got pregnant. She said that since she is not ever having a child, she wanted to experience what the moment would be like. To me, there's no fixing this. I will eventually forgive them, but I don't want to do a second announcement so they feel better. Am I the asshole? I was a product of an affair between my mom and dad. My mom was already married and had a 1-year-old daughter. She wanted to abort me, but my dad begged her and paid her a hefty sum. She signed over all rights and I didn't see her for my 14 years of life. She recently contacted my dad saying she wanted to get to know me better, and he said it's entirely up to me. I was skeptical but decided to meet her. I've been talking to my mom's side for about 2 months when at a family gathering they all sat me down and said the reason they contacted me was because my half-sister was having kidney failure and was basically dying. At a loss for words, I got up and left. I told my dad and he said it's entirely up to me, but I should get tested just to see before I make my decision. So I did. When my mom found out, she thought this was me agreeing and told everyone the good news. I did a lot of thinking and I decided I would not be donating my kidney. This family had done nothing for me. The only reason they tried to get in contact was for my kidney. So I don't want anything to do with them. I got loads of hateful calls and messages but decided to stand by my decision. My stepsister called me and said I'm a douche for giving her false hope. People are saying I'm wrong because I can save a life. My stepsister did nothing wrong. But I feel so used. My fiance and I are getting married in a few months and our wedding is on a Saturday. It's 3 days after his niece's 6th birthday. He has 2 nieces while I have 1. When we booked the date, we were aware that it was close to her birthday, but we figured because it was not on her actual day, it would be fine. His sister has recently asked if we could make our wedding a little bit more special for her daughter. She asked if she could pick out the dresses, for her to wear a tiara while the other 2 have simple headbands, and invite 1 school friend and 30 minutes to an hour of her music playing. She also wanted people to sing happy birthday to her. We said no to this. We want the flower girl dresses to all look the same and to go with the color scheme. Plus, we know that if the other girls see her wear a tiara, then they will also want one. We don't want some kid at our wedding who is not with their own parents. As for the music, it would be annoying, but all guests are welcome to request songs to the DJ. And I told her we can sing happy birthday after we cut our cake and we can bring her out a little cupcake. My sister-in-law is unhappy about this because our wedding means her daughter will not get a birthday party that year. And she thinks waiting until the weekend after is too long and it will upset her daughter. My partner is starting to cave, but I don't want to budge. He feels bad in the situation, but I don't. Am I wrong for not having a birthday party at my wedding? I was putting away my boyfriend's laundry and found a ring in one of his drawers. My boyfriend has always been an introvert. I travel a lot for work and I'm gone at least once a week, a month, sometimes more. I thought this was good because he likes to have time to himself. He had a lot of hobbies and spent a lot of time with his friends playing games while I was gone. He worked, but his hours and pay were better. I got a managerial position and almost didn't take it because I would be gone even more. He told me to do it and we needed to save for our future and our kids. We talked about marriage and what he wanted. We also looked at engagement rings together online. The one that I liked is the one he bought. I thought it was for me and I got so excited about it. I was stupid and let it slip to my best friend that I found the ring. She told my boyfriend and that's when they sat me down and told me the truth. My best friend told me she's been sleeping with him for the past 3 years, like she was proud of it. My boyfriend told me he's in love with her, that she was there for him more. I didn't understand it at first because he told me to take the position and yet he made dumb excuses like that. They were sleeping together behind my back for 3 years and then they had the audacity to ask me to move out. I made my now ex pack all of his stuff and leave the apartment immediately. I'm completely devastated. My mother-in-law has hated me since day one because I grew up in a single-family household and she told my husband that he deserved to be with someone who came from a 2-parent household. For 4 years, I bit my tongue trying to get her to like me. When we got engaged, she tried to dictate my whole wedding, not offering to pay for anything. When I decided I didn't want kids at the wedding, she flipped and told me I was selfish, that the wedding isn't for me, that I'm tearing her family apart and that I'm ruining her life. Day of the wedding, she causes a scene because my mom danced with me and my husband, stealing her spotlight. My husband and her get into a fight, he storms away and then she pushes me. I push her off and then she lunges at me, going for my throat. She's literally trying to choke me at my wedding. All because I try to grab my husband and say that this was not the time for a fight with his mom. She gets escorted out by security. Fast forward to now. She tries to communicate with my husband and my husband ignores her. Now he wants her back in his life. I don't know what to do. This lady put her hands on me at our wedding. I tried explaining to my husband how much she's hurt me and he says he understands, but that's his mom. I don't know if I should let my husband talk to her again because I don't want him to resent me, but she crossed so many boundaries and she doesn't see what she did wrong. And she refuses to apologize to me. I'm 29 weeks pregnant with a baby boy. My husband and I were really excited when we found out because a few years ago we suffered from an unfortunate loss of our baby at 24 weeks. Our baby just wasn't developing correctly and there was nothing we could do. It was just one of those sad things. I went to therapy for it and came to terms with it, but my husband never did. As much as I asked and begged, he didn't go. Now, every time we go to a doctor appointment, he essentially has a panic attack talking about how we're going to lose this baby too. It's been happening since I found out I was pregnant, so it's been 29 weeks of this. After my last appointment while coming home, my husband told me we should start considering the worst and look into urns and cremation in case we lose this one too. This is where I told him he needed to go to therapy and I wouldn't be having him come with me to any more appointments because he's stressing me out. He told me I'm being unreasonable and he's being realistic, that I can't stop him from going with me because it's his baby too. This was last week and he has been cold and still hasn't made a therapy appointment and honestly has been kind of hostile towards me. I am what's considered a high-risk pregnancy. I know he's just scared we're going to lose our baby, but having him with me is maybe the cause of what could make us lose the baby because he makes me so stressed. Am I wrong in this situation? My sister-in-law and I have an agreement where she watches the kids 3 days a week and I watch hers 3 days a week. A couple of weeks ago, we had an argument and the next day I brought my kids to her house and dropped them off and left. When I got to work, I had 20 missed calls all from my sister-in-law saying I need to pick up the kids because she doesn't want to watch them due to our fight. And I had 45 minutes to get there or else she'll call the cops. It took me about an hour to get back to her house, but she already called the cops, so I had to stick around long enough to tell the officer that I didn't abandon my children. It was just miscommunication. I have since arranged for other childcare for my kids and I've been mostly ignoring her. However, she reached out and apologized and has asked if I'd be willing to go back to the old childcare arrangement. I work with kids. If I got abandonment on my record, I would never work in my field again, which she knew, and her calling the police was a massive overreaction. She said that if I checked my phone, talked to her that morning, or came back when I was supposed to, she would not have needed to call the police, and I did this to myself. I've told her that if she thinks I'm babysitting for her, she's delusional and she's on her own. Because of my refusal, it's looking like she may need to quit her job because my brother and her would pay more for a babysitter than they would earn from her working. My mom and brother are calling me an asshole because there was no consequence to her calling the police. My husband and I have been struggling a bit financially because we're saving up to purchase a new apartment. He is used to eating fast food when he went to work and he would spend more than $300 a month, which is about $20 daily. I talked to him about it and he agreed that I would make him sandwiches for him to take to work. Everything was going well and I noticed he wouldn't respond when I asked whether he liked the sandwiches I made, but kept asking me to make more than 2 since he was always hungry. Yesterday he came home with some friends and coworkers and we sat at a dinner table when his friend brought up the sandwiches. He said they're delicious but they're a bit pricey. I was confused so I asked him to explain and he said my husband sells the sandwiches I make to his coworkers and then goes and buys his own lunch from the restaurant. I began arguing with him after his friend left and he said there was nothing wrong with it. I told him I will no longer be making him sandwiches if he's selling them to buy fast food. He defended himself calling this an overreaction since he's not spending money on fast food and said I was just being unfair to start an argument over this. I just walked into the bathroom and stayed there and he said I owe him an apology for God knows what and that he didn't think it was acceptable of me to lash out and say I won't make him sandwiches anymore. So am I overreacting here? My brother recently moved in with us with his wife and 2 children. My husband and I own a big house on a farm and with everyone working from home, we thought it would be a good chance to stay together as a family. I have 3 children, my eldest being 18 and my youngest being 13. It was amazing. Everyone got along just great. My sister-in-law and son especially got along together. They would always go running. Everything seemed normal until last month when my sister-in-law and son went on their run, but I was baking and I never saw them make any rounds around the farm, which was weird. I asked about it and they said they decided to hit the road. I thought nothing of it and everything seemed normal. They both have a really good bond. Yesterday, I was coming from a friend's house early in the morning and the sun wasn't up yet and it was a little dark, but I saw that the cabin we have at the farm was open and the light was on. I thought maybe one of the employees had forgotten to lock it up, so I went to close the door and switch off the lights and I got closer and I heard something. I took a peek and I saw my son and sister-in-law going at it. I didn't confront them because I was in shock. I still haven't told anyone what I saw and I don't know what to do. Should I confront them? Should I tell my brother? Should I tell my husband? I'm so confused. Due to their close relationship, I feel like this has been going on for a while. After much thought, I decided to tell my husband and proceed from there. My husband lost it. At first, he thought it was a joke, and we talked about the issue and we decided we should first talk to our son before telling my brother. My son confessed to everything and said they started sleeping together last February when he was 17. My son said it started on sister-in-law's birthday party that they attended and they got drunk and slept in the bathroom and have been meeting at hotels ever since and sneaking off at family gatherings. After my son's confession, my husband just lost it and told my son to leave the house and go to our condo in town and he didn't want to see him for the time. When my son was gone, my husband stormed into my brother's room and told him everything. My brother lost it and packed his stuff, took the kids and left. He asked where my son was because he wanted to teach him a lesson. We didn't tell him and he eventually left. My sister-in-law wasn't home when we told him and she hasn't returned since. In all the screaming and shouting, my daughters heard everything and are now devastated that their family might be ruined and they miss their brother and they're afraid my husband won't ever let him in the house again. My brother won't answer my calls or text messages. My husband says I should give him time to heal. My son has left the condo because he's afraid of what my brother will do to him and he is now hiding at a friend's house and he won't tell us which friend. No word on sister-in-law either. I have a 9-year-old daughter who I named after my late grandmother Annabelle and I'm currently pregnant. If I'm having a girl, I want to name her after my other grandmother Rose. My sister got pregnant about 5 months before me and says she wants to name her baby Rose. I said our kids can share the name, but she says I already have Annabelle and could have named her Annabelle Rose, but passed up on the chance. So now I can't have Rose. I told her I'll look for something else, but reserve the right to use Rose if I want to. Then I fell in love with the name Rosalie. It honors my late grandmother, my boyfriend loves it, and it won't piss off my sister. A couple of weeks later, my sister gives birth and announces her daughter's name is Rosalie. I am beyond upset because now she's trying to snatch both names from me. My mom calls me to say she knew my sister was planning to do this and hopes I'm not upset because this means I can take the original name I wanted, which was Rose. But I told my mom I'm sticking with Rosalie. She says it's impractical because both Rosalies will have the same surname. My sister is a single mom and my boyfriend will be taking my last name. My sister then calls me to say I'm an inconsiderate prick and that I'm being petty. She can name her kid whatever she wants and I can't monopolize the name. I said true, so by that same logic,